Hey, geography, how you guys doing? We are now to April 6th and we're starting, I guess, our third week online. So thank you guys for being good spirits and thank you so much for participating and doing everything that you need to do for the all the discussions and all the stuff to turn in. I hope that you guys did well on the test. I haven't quite gotten to grading them yet, but I'm going to be working on that for the next few days. So we'll see how those turn out. But for now, you guys, we are now on chapter 11, which means we are now on our third continent. As we've been trying the audacious task of learning all about the whole world's geography, we started in North America, then we moved to South America, which we just finished this last week. Now we're in Europe. So brace yourselves for the goodness to come. Okay, for this week, we're going to be doing these objectives, and I'll talk about this again at the end, but just as a quick reminder, technically, I know it's weird because we're always at home right now, but Friday is a day off. It's for Easter, and next week, Monday is a day off. It's Easter break, right? So you guys are supposed to get Friday of this week off and Monday of next week off. And so I'm not going to be giving you guys as much work. I'm going to lighten the load a little bit, and I'm not going to be on the computer on Friday. I recommend don't even get on the computer Friday. Enjoy that time. If your church does any sort of Good Friday service, then of course, like mine does, participate in that. Maybe even search. There's plenty you could watch online. I recommend it. Find a Good Friday service. It can really change your life. Honestly, Good Friday is a powerful service. But all I have to say, everything's going to be due Thursday this week, and Friday is considered a day off. So just keep that in mind. Okay, so the objectives for this week: locate the major countries and major cities in Northern Europe. Locate the major geographic features in Northern Europe, explain the causes of conflict in North Ireland, and to describe the major geographic characteristics of the Scandinavian peninsula. So that's what we're doing today. Read chapter 11 of the textbook by Tuesday the 14th. So it gives you a few days, but read the chapter. It's always good to do that just so you can get all that stuff in your head. Okay. So first of all, here's a map of the world, and it's frustrating doing this all through a slideshow, so I'm going to have to, I want to zoom out and zoom in to Europe. So this is the whole world. As you can see, we talked about North America already, right? And then we've talked about South America. Well, now we're going to be talking about Europe over here. It's very clustered here. There's all sorts of cities, and you can tell even on this blurry map. But this is what we're going to be talking about now is Europe, and we're going to start by talking about Western Europe. And so we're going to zoom in on Europe real quick, because we're going to be talking about Eastern Europe in the next chapter actually. But for now, we're going to be focusing on Western Europe, including up here. All this basically is what we're going to be talking about for now. So Western Europe is this whole part of the continent. Again, we're going to be talking about Eastern Europe later. There's all sorts of a lot of political mess, especially in this area we'll be talking about next chapter. But for now, we're going to be focusing on this general area right here. Okay, and then we're going to start with this particular section of the chapter talking about Northern Europe. So when we talk about Northern Europe, we're talking about Iceland, which is part of Scandinavia, but Iceland through Norway, Sweden, Finland. We're going to ignore these for now. I couldn't find a map that didn't include these, so ignore these three countries. But then Denmark, and then of course Ireland and the UK. So that's what we're going to be talking about for this week again. So Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Finland, Denmark, the United Kingdom, and Ireland, and so that's where we're going to be, and we'll be focusing our time on that. Okay, so the first thing let's talk about is Great Britain. So we're talking about Northern England. We're going to be talking about this island nation. Let me go up here real quick. Again, you can see this is what we're talking about currently, these islands off the coast of continental Europe. Now, Great Britain, which is this island right here, is the largest island in all of Europe. And it's played a huge role in human history. It's funny, I always get that question, Mr. Carvey, who had the biggest empire? Who had the biggest empire in world history? And they always, it's like this trick question where they want you to say the Roman Empire, but the answer they think is the Mongol Empire. And it's true, the Mongol Empire is huge, it was a massive empire, but if you want to be technical, the largest empire was the British Empire. They owned more of the world at one point in history than anybody else. So this little island, it's big in Europe, in the context of Europe, but relative to the rest of the world, it's just one island, but they had the biggest empire at one point in human history. So anyways, Great Britain is the largest island in Europe. The United Kingdom. Now, this is something I'll really, really catch this because this confused me for the longest time when I was your age. What do people talk about the United Kingdom or the UK, right? What are they talking about? Well, the United Kingdom is England, Wales, Scotland, and North Ireland, right? So there's 1, 2, 3, 4. Ireland doesn't want to be a part of it, so they're separate. But like this is the United Kingdom, and so whenever people talk about the UK or the United Kingdom, they're talking about these 4 units together, this fourfold division of the kingdom, right? So again, North Ireland or Northern Ireland, Wales, England, and Scotland are the United Kingdom. Basically, in 1707, the big island of Britain, Great Britain, they came together, these 3 nations, right? Wales, England, and Scotland. They came together in the 1700s to become the United Kingdom. And then in 1801, the entire island of Ireland was added in. But there's some friction we're going to be talking about a little bit, particularly regarding religion, that caused the split to happen. But for a while, the entire island nation of Ireland was part of the United Kingdom. They were added in 1801, but then the majority of the island decided that they didn't want to be part of the United Kingdom, and they left in 1921. But this little chunk of the island stayed in the United Kingdom. So hopefully that's making some sense, and we're going to discuss why that happened. But one thing I mentioned too, and this is important, people get confused all the time. They say, you read your history books, it talks about Britain, or it talks about Great Britain, and someone says I'm British, someone says I'm English, and like, what the heck does it, how do you make sense of all those labels? And here's what I want you to understand. British refers to the United Kingdom because British is ultimately this island, right? So somebody says they're British, they're referring to the island. And if anybody talks about Great Britain, it's just a term to describe the whole island setup there too. So if somebody says they're English, they're specifically from England. UK does not necessarily equal English, though the biggest, arguably the most powerful player in the United Kingdom is England. But British means you're talking about the island here ultimately, and including North Ireland. But people will typically, they might stick a little bit more to their Irishness though than talk about being British. So anyways, it's a little bit messy, but the point is that whenever you talk about Britain, you're talking about the island for the most part. Okay, moving on. So England is the largest division in the United Kingdom. Here's a quick map of England. You need to know a very important river is called, and it looks like Thames or Thames, but you say it Thames. The River Thames, that's how they say it. But the River Thames flows through the heart of southern England and includes London in its path. So London is in the path of the Thames River, but extremely important river you need to know whenever you study British history. The English Channel is what separates the island from continental Europe, which is right here. This is the English Channel, right? Sorry, specifically more right here. And the English Channel is kind of an interesting thing to be aware of. In World War II, whenever you study about the D-Day invasions, there's all those famous, and we'll be talking about this, of course, in world history next year. But when you have all those boats that you see lining up on the coast and all those Americans running across the beach and the Germans shooting at them, that happened on the beaches of Normandy in France. And it was across the English Channel because they were all basically coming over from the British Isles. To fight in the Germans in occupied France. So, but the English Channel is important in that whole deal. Okay, the Pennines, mountain system extending south from Scotland. It's basically a mountain system called the backbone of England. And so if you've ever read Robin Hood and hear about Sherwood Forest, there is a literal Sherwood Forest, which is located the south part of the Pennines. And so Robin Hood supposedly did his deal in the forest. And, you can look up the accuracy of that. I don't want to shatter any dreams today, but I will say though that Robin Hood was pretty good at keeping mean people out of his hood. So there's always that too. Okay, I don't want to spend a lot of time on Scotland and Wales, but Scotland, go watch Braveheart. And come talk to me after you do, because it's a great movie. The capital is Edinburgh, and I will mention one kind of cool fact is Hadrian's Wall. Back in the 2nd century AD, the Roman Emperor Hadrian constructed a wall. It's not the border between Scotland and England, but it's near the border. But it's this massive, massive wall, and it's still standing to this day, and it's a pretty cool thing to see. Wales, honestly, it's just very similar to England. You have a lot of animal husbandry, and it's kind of an economy that's like they had a pretty strong coal extraction economy for a while, but then the coal ran out, and they've just been trying to find alternative ways to raise money. The capital is Cardiff in Wales, and honestly, I wish we could spend a lot of time in every nation, but we have to spend a little bit more time on we have to pick and choose the nations we're going to emphasize. And Wales was a great place. I mean, if I'm not mistaken, I think my name Cartwright is Welsh. I'd have to double check that, but it's an interesting country for its own part, though. Okay, why is there conflict? We've been talking about how Ireland, you have North Ireland, you have the rest of Ireland. Well, the simple answer is Protestantism versus Catholicism. And if you're not really sure what Protestantism is, basically we'll learn a lot more about that next year in world history. But for now, the Catholic Church was the dominant church in Europe for a long time, and then eventually you had a split, right? You had people who didn't like what the Roman Catholic Church was teaching, and they protested, hence Protestant. They protested the Catholic teachings and started their own churches. And so everybody, I shouldn't say everybody, but the vast majority, I'm assuming, I don't think we have any Catholics, at least in geography this year, but like we're all Protestants, right? Well, what happened was a good chunk of Protestants started living in the northern part of Ireland. And so the whole island was part of the UK for a while, right? But there was always a little bit of tension between North Ireland and the rest of it. And then everything got pretty bad because when Ireland joined the UK in 1801, the UK put some laws in place that banned Catholics from buying or inheriting land. Obviously, it's horrible. That's discriminating against the Catholics big time. So that ticked them off. So what ends up happening is a treaty was created in 1921 called the Anglo-Irish Treaty, and basically it allowed Ireland to become a free state. But again, the northern part of the island was Protestant, just as England and the rest of the UK are Protestant. So the north part of the island wanted to be part of the UK still, so that caused the split between North Ireland and the rest of Ireland. And there's been actually a lot of violence between Northern Ireland and the rest of Ireland. Look up Bloody Sunday if you want to see an example. There's actually a U2 song about that. The band U2, they have a good song about that. But yeah, so politically, that's what happened. Is you have Protestants clustered in the northern part of the northern part of Ireland, wanting to be part of the United Kingdom, and the southern part is Catholic, and so there's all sorts of fighting that's been happening for a long time. Okay, and then the last part we're going to talk about is the Scandinavian Peninsula, and I'm going to talk about all of Scandinavia too, not just the peninsula. But Scandinavia, when people talk about Scandinavia, it includes 5 particular nations, and it looks like Iceland got cut off a little bit, but whoops, but Iceland appears somewhere. Norway, Sweden, Finland, and then Denmark. So Scandinavia includes Iceland, Norway, Sweden, Finland, and Denmark. That's what we call Scandinavia. Now the Scandinavian Peninsula is Norway and Sweden. You see these 2 nations jutting out here as a peninsula. So that's called the Scandinavian Peninsula. You need to know that for sure. I'm just going to throw the capitals at you. Norway's capital right here is Oslo. Sweden's is Stockholm. Finland is Helsinki. Back when I was in middle school, I had to do a massive project we had to do random capitals, and I had to do Helsinki. And I thought it was actually really interesting, and so it's always stuck with me. One thing about Finland is they're actually kind of an anomaly. If you notice, they're attached right to Russia, and Finland's language and even the physical features of the country are a lot more like northern Russia than Norway or Sweden. So, even some have tried to argue that Finland's not really as much Scandinavian as it is Russian, but we classify it as Scandinavian. Okay, a huge geographic characteristic you need to know, especially about Norway and Iceland, is called a fjord, which is just fun to say. But a fjord, it's a long, narrow ocean inlet of the sea between high cliffs. So you think in the ocean inlets, where the ocean is making its way into land, and then you have huge cliffs on the sides. Those are called fjords, and they're beautiful. If you ever go, I haven't, but I have students who told me that they've gone on cruises to Norway, and you actually will go through some of the fjords and stuff. And the Sogne Fjord is the longest fjord in Norway, and so you can see it pretty clearly. Just look at a map of Norway, you can see it. It's pretty big inlet there. But it's the longest fjord in Norway, and this is actually a picture of the Sogne Fjord. Beautiful, and I think there were some amazing pictures of it. But that's something that if you're talking about Scandinavia, you're going to talk about fjords. It's good to know. Okay, and then Denmark's capital is Copenhagen. And Denmark, again, is that little nation right here. Let me scroll up here again. So here's Denmark. See that? And Denmark, one thing I'll mention is the capital is Copenhagen, but something interesting is that they own Greenland. That massive island is owned by Denmark. So that's kind of an interesting fact that a lot of people don't know, that they skip over. But yeah, Denmark owns the island of Greenland, so make sure you're aware of that. Okay, and then the last thing we're going to talk about, oh, I skipped ahead. The last thing we're going to talk about is Iceland. And Iceland is, you can see here, so this is a map that's a little bit neater than the other ones, but you have like this massive, Greenland over here. Then Iceland is an island right here off the east coast of Greenland. And Iceland is its own nation. It's a neat little place, So first of all, it's called the land of fire and ice. And why is it called the land of fire and ice? Well, because you have tons of active volcanoes. The book is, I think, a little inaccurate. It says there's over 200 volcanoes. I don't know what they meant in general or active, but I looked it up. There's 130-ish active volcanoes, but still, there's a lot. And so you have like these massive glaciers, though, that slide down active volcanoes. So talk about fire and ice. You have these volcanoes, and you have ice surrounding them that are sliding off the active volcanoes. Kind of a cool sight, Most Icelanders live I'm sorry, I'm going to fix that right now. Live among the fjords. Again, those narrow ocean inlets, because there's only 1% of the land that's arable, which means able to cultivate crops, right, to grow stuff. And it's located right along the fjord, so the people that live in Iceland have to live along the fjords in order to grow crops to survive. So, interesting fact about Iceland. And you have this over here. This is Mount Hekla. And for a while, people thought that this volcano concealed the gates to hell. So that's kind of creepy. That sounds to me like a horror movie waiting to be made. Just saying. But Mount Hekla over here. And so, kind of an interesting thing to know. And another little fact about Iceland is they have the longest lasting governing body in existence. It's been meeting since the 900s, and they're still officially meeting to this day, so they can boast in that. They have the longest political body that's been gathering and making decisions. That's kind of a cool fact about Iceland too. Okay, so there's a lot that they try to pack in this little section, so I hope that you guys could at least get the gist of it. But here's a little bit of a rundown for this week. So this is the lecture. Congrats, you finished it. The discussion, just make sure that you participate in that. You guys have been doing, by the way, I have to say, 9th grade, your guys' class has probably been doing the best on the discussions. And the seniors have been, and my government class has been really good, but you guys have been doing a fantastic job. So keep up the great work. I love it. And I love it. I think great job. So anyways, but the discussion, and then and there's a worksheet you guys can get and just fill in the blanks. You'll get a lot of the answers from this lecture and some of the reading. But that's all you need to do this week, and it's all going to be due Thursday, just because I want you guys to be focused on Christ for Easter and not on me or not on any of the schoolwork. So everything's going to be due Thursday, and this is what you need to do: the lecture, the discussion, the worksheet. Oh, and I remember CNN 10. So make sure that you're watching CNN 10 and then leave a comment by Thursday. You do not need to watch CNN 10 this Friday. Okay, you guys, well, I love you guys, and let me know if you have any questions, and I'll talk to you soon. But enjoy your Good Friday service and your Easter.